Sadly Downey. I'll be taking you on a tour of our vast and vastly wonderful solar system and beyond, starting at the sun, which is right over there. I'll be taking you on a 3-mile walk of the Cumberland Trail system. It goes from the sun to Neptune. Once I take you down to Neptune, I'll continue and do some extra shots about the Ort Cloud and the Kuiper Belt. Let's head over here and begin. On a 3-mile scale, this is about 50 inches in diameter and roughly the size of the sun. Its size is 696,300 kilometers. Its temperature is 5,778 Kelvin. That is the same as 9,940.73 Fahrenheit. It's the center of our solar system. It's also the source of light, heat, and life on Earth. At its equator, the sun rotates once every 26.8 Earth days and once every 36 Earth days at its poles. Some interesting facts are that the sun orbits the galactic center. In space, we have just traveled 35.9 million miles from the sun to its closest neighbor, Mercury, the most cratered planet in the solar system. Mercury's distance from the sun is 35,960,000 miles. It's the closest planet to the sun. Mercury has no moons. Its size is 1.516 kmi. It's made of rocks and metals. Mercury looks a lot like Earth's moon and is 1/3 the size of Earth itself. Mercury is also the first of the 4 inner terrestrial planets. Venus's distance from the sun is 67,190,000 miles. It is the second planet from the sun and Earth's closest neighbor. Like Mercury, it's made of rock and metal. Venus also has no moons like Mercury. It looks brown and yellow. It's the hottest planet in our solar system. Venus has a retrograde rotation, which means that it spins backwards compared to the other planets. We've just had a look at Venus, the hottest planet in the solar system, which is about the size of this blueberry on our planetary scale. Let's go have a look at our home world, Earth. Earth's distance from the sun is 92,960,000 miles. It's the third planet from the sun. Earth has one moon called Moon. Its size is 3,959 miles. Just like the 2 inner planets before it, Earth is made of rock and metal. 70% of Earth's surface is oceans and water. Our moon has no atmosphere, so you can still see the footprints of Neil Armstrong, the first person to walk on the moon. Because there's no atmosphere, there's no weather. When a space rock enters Earth's atmosphere, it becomes a meteor, or shooting star if you prefer to call it that. If a meteor makes it all the way to the ground without burning up, it's called a meteorite. Meteorites range in size from tiny pebbles to huge boulders. Here we are, 93 million miles from the sun, or 1 astronomical unit, AU for short. On our 3-mile planetary scale, our Earth is about the size of this grape. As you can see from all around me, this planet has the perfect conditions to support life. Plenty of water and lots of fresh air. Now let's move on to Earth's neighbor, Mars. Mars's distance from the sun is 149,550,000 miles. Mars is the 4th and farthest terrestrial planet from the sun. It has 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. Mars' size is 2.106 kmi. Like all terrestrials, it's made of rocks and metals. Mars looks red because of rust-colored dust on its surface, and is about half the size of Earth.
As you hopefully remember, this grape represents Earth, whereas this tiny coffee bean in comparison represents Mars, the red planet. We've just finished our look at Mars. Now let's move on to the asteroid belt.
The asteroid belt is made up of orbiting pieces of rock, ice, and metal left over from the formation of our solar system 4.5 billion years ago. The asteroid belt lies between Mars and Jupiter, the outermost terrestrial planet and the innermost gas giant planet. Asteroids orbit our sun. They are solid, rocky, and irregular bodies. Asteroids have no atmospheres. The dwarf planet Ceres is located in the asteroid belt and is sometimes still considered an asteroid. More than 150 asteroids are known to have a small companion moon. Some even have two. No asteroids have rings, and they cannot support life as we know it.
You can't even see Mars or Jupiter from where we stand, about somewhere in the middle at the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt is 1/4 of a mile from the sun on our 3-mile scale. Let's head to the biggest planet in our solar system, Jupiter. Here we are, 484 million miles from the sun and 1/2 mile on our 3-mile scale. Remember the grape from earlier that represented Earth? Imagine that compared to this pie pumpkin. This pumpkin is a representation of the home of the great red spot, Jupiter.
Jupiter is the largest of all the gas giant and terrestrial planets. Jupiter is the 5th planet from the sun. It has 67 moons, not all of which have proper names. Jupiter's distance from the sun is 483,340,000 miles. It is composed mostly of gases, rocks, and metals. 4 moon names are Io, Europa, Callisto, and Ganymede. Jupiter is sometimes called the king of the planets. It only has 50 confirmed moons and 17 more unconfirmed. Scientists may think that there are 67 moons, even though only 50 are confirmed, because of Jupiter's size. The Juno spacecraft was for the first time see below Jupiter's dense clouds. Its size is 43.441 kmi. Some fun facts. Jupiter has 3 rings. Its faint outer rings are called the gossamer rings, and the thick inner ring is called the halo. Saturn's distance from the Sun is 887,660,000 miles. It's the 6th planet from the Sun. Saturn has 62 moons. Not all of them have proper names yet, but the most famous by far is Titan. Saturn's size is 36.184 kmi. Like Jupiter, Saturn is a gas giant, so that means it's composed mostly of gases, metals, ice, and rocks. Saturn has 7 rings that span up to 175,000 miles into space. About 3/4 of the distance between Earth and Saturn's moons, or Earth and its moon.
1 mile from the sun, on our 3-mile scale, this coconut represents the ringed planet Saturn. Now that you know all the facts I have to give, let's move on down to Uranus.
Uranus's distance from the Sun is 782,889,000 miles. It's the 7th planet from the Sun. Uranus has 27 moons. All are named after characters in the works of Shakespeare and Alexander Pope. 5 are well known. These 5 are Titania, Oberon, Mirinda, Ariel, and Umbriel. It is also composed of gases, rocks, metals, and ice, like all other gas giants. Uranus has 13 rings, and it's called the sideways planet because its axial tilt is over 180. Neptune's distance from the Sun is 2,796,000,000. Neptune is the 8th planet from the Sun, and the last. Its size is 15,299 mi. It's composed, like all gas giant and outer planets, of gases, rocks, metals, and ice. Neptune appears blue because of methane in its atmosphere, but it doesn't have the same hazy blue-green atmosphere as Uranus. Neptune has 6 rings and has a spot much like Jupiter's great red spot, only it's the great dark spot. The great dark spot is large enough to contain the entire Earth. Neptune has 14 moons, the largest by far being Triton. Neptune was the first planet located through mathematical predictions, instead of through a telescope.
Here we are as the sun sets, 3 miles from where we began, the last planet from the sun, Neptune. This little kiwi represents this planet. Now that you know all the facts I can tell you about Neptune, let's head on down to the dwarf planets, starting with Pluto.
All known dwarf planets are smaller than Earth's moon. Eris is the largest known dwarf planet. Pluto has the most moons of all known dwarf planets. Pluto has 5. The Kuiper Belt is a donut-shaped ring extending just beyond the orbit of Neptune, from about 30 to 55 astronomical units. There may be hundreds of thousands of icy bodies larger than 100 km, and an estimated trillion or more comets within the Kuiper Belt. Short-period comets come from the Kuiper Belt. Long-period comets come from the Ort Cloud. Long-period comets take more than 200 years to complete their orbit around the Sun. Short-period comets take less than 200 years to complete their orbit around the Sun. The Ort Cloud may contain more than 1 trillion icy bodies. It is thought to be a thick bubble of icy debris that surrounds our solar system. It may extend 1/3 of the way from our Sun to the next star.
Thank you for watching, and I hope that our 3-mile scale helped you appreciate the real size and distance between them all. I hope you learned something, like the fact that Jupiter has 3 rings, the Gossamer outer rings and the halo inner ring, and that Neptune has a great dark spot. Thank you again. See you next time.